Hi, welcome to this YouTube channel today. My name is Efnais and I'm commonly called Dr. STM. Today, I'll be talking about the difference between health informatics and health data science. And I'll be doing this because this is a common confusion for people who want to play within the health system in the technology field of the health system, or they want to play with data-related field of the health system. And they are not sure, should I go via health data science or should I go via health informatics? And that's the reason why I'm doing this video, just to give you an insight of what each one means and how you can make some decisions on what suits you the best. Now, first, let's try to define these terms. And the truth is, there is no general definition for health data science or health informatics, but I'd like to work with some of the definitions that drive home the whole idea of health data science and informatics. Now, this one is from Dr. Roswin Walker, the Chief Science Strategy Officer of Health Data Research UK, which is a major data-related body, health data-related body in the United Kingdom. Now, let's say health data science, in the simplest terms, is defined as health as a unique blend of mathematics, statistics, computational science across all of its specialties and domain knowledge, which is, of course, in this case, health. Now, let's get back to health informatics. And I'm going to give this definition by Jen et al. That is published on PubMed. Now, this definition is one of the reasons why people misunderstand the differences between health informatics and health data science. Now, listen to what they say. They say, is the interprofessional field that studies and pursues the effective use of biomedical data, information, and knowledge for scientific inquiry. And then they go further and say, in other words, is the science of information where the information is defined as data with meaning. And the person goes, data again, so what's the exact difference? Now, in reality, data is touching these two fields. They have something to do with data, but how they use data is where the difference lies. I'm going to start with talking about the similarities. Before I talk about the similarities, just bear in mind this particular definition that my lecturer would always say, that health informatics is the presentation of the right information to the right person at the right time. And that is my simplest ever definition of health informatics, because it makes sense as an information field, not just about data, which I'll delve into as we get into it. Now, let's first think about the similarities. If you're talking about what's the similarities between health data science and health informatics, of course, the number one similarity is that they are both playing within the same domain knowledge, which is health. And then, of course, they are both related to technology. So you're working with technology in a different way in either of these situations. And lastly, they have a relationship with data. And that's where it drives people crazy. But the question is, how is this person related to data? And the easiest way I explain it when I come to now bringing down to differences is, in so many countries, you have the military system. And it's called a military system. But within that military system, the interface of each military sect differs. You have the army, you have the navy, and every other parastatal. And while the army have their own face, doing their own thing, the navy have their own face, doing their own thing. That is exactly what happens. Call it the data world of health. At the end of the whole day, all of these things intersect together for a common goal, which is the improvement of patient care, improvement of healthcare performance, improvement of the overall health system. That's a common goal. Now, in health data science, data scientists will work with the data, like they are the raw people who work with the data. They get the data, they manipulate the data, they visualize the data, they apply statistical techniques, everything that can be done with data, and derive information from it. That is the beginning and end of health data science. It's about getting your hands dirty with working with data. Now, coming back to health informatics. Health informatics does not necessarily have to get their hands dirty with data. Health informatics just knows that something is happening here called data analysis, data science manipulations. They just understand the existence. Health informatics simply goes in the holistic form of how can we use information and computer technology to improve healthcare and health system. Now, when you think of it very well, you find out that technology is not only data. There are other technology artifacts that are independent of data. In quote, I'm trying to make this easy because the truth is, if we go down into all these things, you find out that there are different kinds of data, but I'm trying to make it easy. Now, thinking of all technology artifacts, a health informatician is thinking of what is possible. Why is this essential? How are we going to implement and execute this? How are we going to make this happen? How is it? How are the users experiencing it? What is the impact? So they may not really have to get into the data to start doing all the whole manipulations and statistics and visualization, but they are looking at the overall experience of bringing in technology in healthcare. Now, let me use a common artifact that is now almost known by everybody, even non-clinicians and non-healthcare professionals, which is electronic health record, because that's one of the commonest artifacts of healthcare technology. Now, to a data scientist, a healthcare data scientist, electronic health record is simply a source of data. To them, it's just where you can go and get a massive, large, data that they can use for analysis. And of course, in what we call secondary data analysis. To a health informatician, the electronic health record is more. The health informatician will think about how was this electronic health record built? How was it introduced into this system? What is the impact so far? How are the users experiencing it, including the healthcare professional and the patients? What is the impact on the organizational level? What does it mean to the organization? Are they losing more money or are they gaining more? Are they becoming more efficient time-wise or the otherwise? What does it impact to the whole national level and even the global level? And that is what the health informatician is looking at. So they are not just looking at the part of the data part of it. Now, but see where they are interrelated. Most times, to be able to answer these questions that the health informatician is asking and looking at, they need data, which data analyst would help to analyze. So the health informatician will have an understanding of what the data scientist does, but will not necessarily do it. The health informatician ideally should understand what happens in project management. The health informatician should understand people management. The health informatician should understand policies, because these are all the whole things you integrate within a system. Another difference is what you will study in health data science will now be different from what you will study in health informatics. And that is why you see some students, they come in to do health informatics and spend a few weeks there and say, this is not what I come to do. Because in health data science, you're learning Excel, you're learning SQL, you're learning Tableau, Power BI, and every other tool, SPSS, Python. All the tools that will help you to get your hands dirty with manipulating and wrangling and everything that can be done with data. But in health informatics, you're starting with understanding how data is gotten, how it grows into information, turns into knowledge, where it's gotten from, what means, what we talk about data quality, what affects data, how we can trust the data we are getting. You're talking of project management, you're studying people management, you're studying stakeholder, you're studying policy, you're studying organizational policies, organizational change management, and more. So it's more like you're thinking of bringing the study of management, bringing the study of technology, and bringing the study of policies and politics and people management in one cross. So you're not just doing the dirty work of health data science. So if you're looking for a place where you want to go and do your data and data alone, you don't want to do anything with meetings, strategy meetings, reviewing with users, patients and everything. How do they feel about this tool? How are you enjoying this app and the rest? If you don't want to do those things, please go to health data science. But if you feel like, I don't just want to be getting my hands dirty, I want to see in reality how this thing I'm doing here interprets to policies, interprets to practical recommendations for your patients, for your organization, then you probably should be going tilting towards health informatics, because this is where you go into the managerial aspect of technology in healthcare. Now again, if you're also trying to understand what would this mean for me in the job market, in the job market, job titles, job roles have a couple of names. The best thing you should be looking at is the job description, because some people would say we are hiring a health informatician, or they will call it an information analyst, and in reality they are looking for a data scientist. Then some will call a data scientist and otherwise looking for the other component. But most times when you're looking at job roles, the job role of a health data science will be talking of things of, you should be savvy with, you should understand Excel, you should understand SQL, you should understand Python, SPSS, R, and SAS, all those things that help you to manipulate data, visualize data, and the rest. Whereas for health informatics, in fact, health informatics will go down into more other branches, because there are so many of it. Some of it might be tilting towards change management, towards project management, towards clinical administration, towards clinical coding and more. But you will see it coming up within the job description of what is essentially needed in this case. And I really, really hope that this, my own explanation of the difference between health informatics and health data science, would have made it clear to you what whatever choice you're making and what each of these roles would be bringing to the health table within the health system. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe as I drop more videos about this. Bye.